There's an experience of gang stalking that I haven't talked about at all. And this is about psychological programming. Look, when you're gang stalked, you are literally made to see gang stalking everywhere. Everything that you have been sensitized to will make you think of gang stalking. And you will have a belief that anyone that activates their car alarm, anyone that slams their car door, anyone who does a grin, anyone who coughs around you, anyone with their headlights on, you're gonna assume that all of those things that I just mentioned are because of gang stalking. All of those things will keep gang stalking alive in your mind. Over the years, these connections between colors, between items, between the coughs and the grins becomes synonymous with gang stalking. And when I didn't understand this, something really interesting was happening in my mind, where my mind was always flashing images of gang stalking related things, and I was hearing gang stalking related voices. Gang stalking was being pushed onto me by my own mind. And whenever I would begin to snap out of it, whenever I would be okay, that's when the gang stalking harassment got worse. Gang stalkers would do the hand thing, they would do the grins, they would do the cough, they would do the accidentally shouldering me, they would actually sabotage my things, they would do things to put me back in that state of mind. This happened over the course of many, many years. And if you do not know what gang stalking is a methodology to turn someone's mind against them. Gang stalking literally makes people crazy. And it's so effective that people are out there believing that they are being harassed by the government, that they are being attacked with direct energy weapons. And look, the first thing that you're gonna believe is, oh my God, well, they were probably a drug addict or something. But look, it's not drugs, dude. It's not drugs. Gang stalkers will do everything possible to keep you drugged up, which is why it's so important for you to understand that gang stalking comes before drug addiction. It's gang stalking first and then the addiction problems. You have no idea how many times where I wasn't involved in substances. People were actually pushing these ideas onto me, and this happened for many years. If you are a victim of gang stalking, it is crucial for you to not to talk to anyone who even vaguely or indirectly mentions illicit substances. Anything that can make that will distort your reality or your perceptions, you should run away from. And when I say run, I'm not exaggerating. Like stop talking to anyone that even casually mentions illicit substances. Gang stalking is something serious. Very, 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 very serious. So one thing about gang stalking is that with gang stalking over the years, your mind becomes more and more programmable. I know programmable has a technology connotation, but it has nothing to do with computers. Look, I'm going to tell you an experiment that I did. When I was gang stalked, I noticed that a lot of people said words like WTF and then they would make a loud sound. And what this resulted is that anytime I heard a loud sound, my mind would repeat the word that the gang stalker said. So people did this to me for about 3 years. And next thing that I know, loud noises would literally create sounds in my mind. So I decided to test it. I began saying affirmations and making a loud sound. I began having a thought and making a loud sound. And I did that for hours on end. And guess what? All of a sudden, whenever I heard a sound, the thought that I had, I would hear it as if it was a voice in my head. And then I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I did that. I did that for many months, and all of a sudden, the voices that I would hear would be the words and the affirmations that I programmed myself to hear or to hear as in voices. On top of that, I did a visual test. I was driving, and while I was driving, I was looking at the white lines in the middle of the road, the paint divider. And I would think an affirmation. I would look at it and then think an affirmation. And I did that for one day only, one day. Next thing I know, the next day, every time I would look at the divider, my mind would continuously repeat the affirmation. I had literally programmed my mind to repeat the affirmation whenever I looked at the divider of on the floor of the pavement, I tried it with images. I thought of something beautiful whenever I looked at a person. And guess what happened? Next thing I know, every time I was looking at a person, I would have these beautiful thoughts. I realized that gang stalking keeps you so confused all the time to the point where you are lost in your own thoughts, but your mind kind of becomes a separate entity from you. Your mind becomes its own thing that people around you are programming. This is insane, but this is the truth. And I'm telling you because I experimented with it and it worked. So before I learned that, whenever I was beginning to feel fine, I noticed that people around me began doing the hand signal and they began doing a lot of noises, a lot of sounds. And those sounds literally activated more voices in my head and I didn't know why. I was wondering, I never put two and two together until later. But after many years of experiencing that, I moved back here into my house. And whenever I was feeling fine, I would begin to get reprogrammed by my own mind. It was the craziest thing ever. I would begin to feel really weird pains, and then I would begin to hear voices. I learned how to think over the voices, but I was able to stop the cycle only because I understood that those weird sensations, the weird noises, the alarms that I used to listen to, that I used to believe they were because of gang stalking, all of that diminished over time. And now it has gotten to zero. And before, it was a self-perpetuating programming because out of the blue, I would begin hearing things, I would begin seeing things, and after that, I would have those experiences for like a couple of days. You know, before I understood that it was my mind being messed with by a bunch of people for many years, I was literally stuck hearing voices and stuff for like days on end. And look, here, look what my friend Odog Wumedico says. He says, let me explain. On one hand, some people are being hit right now with DEWs, with directed energy weapons. On the other hand, some people's minds continue to create the symptoms even after the weapon is no longer being used on them. That is the psychological torture programming. They burn or shock you with a sensation, then your brain recreates it due to anxiety and stress and trauma. So it's both. People are actively being hit with DEWs, and some people are no longer being hit, but their trauma and the sensation stays. Look, I still feel weird sensations, but literally the moment that I kept these people away from me, my mind has gone back to normal. If directed energy weapons were a thing, there would have been no difference in me hearing voices and feeling sensations, being here or being in San Diego being harassed with directed energy weapons. I would because directed energy weapons were supposed to be felt here, so I would still have to be attacked with directed energy weapons here in my house, but I'm not. The mind of the target is being continually reprogrammed again and again and again and again for many years. And the moment that you block all of these people, your mind will normalize, but it takes a really long time. I've been here like 9 months, dude. 9 months. And it is only till now that my speech is back to normal. I'm not thinking a bunch of crazy shit, but that's only possible because I was able to get my mind by the reins. If you're being gang stalked, being passive about your mind is the worst thing that you can possibly do. You have to keep your imagination busy and your internal monologue busy. You have to think over the voices. You have to visualize over the memories of gang stalking. So what happens is that if you let those memories linger, you're gonna be stuck remembering these awful experiences. So you have to literally reprogram your mind to think of other things than these awful experiences. Because if you allow yourself to ruminate over the effed up things that people have done to you, you are literally building your own hell. And I know it sucks. I know it sucks really bad. But the sooner you get out of it, the sooner you put your mind in order, the less time you're gonna be throwing in the trash by feeling sorry for yourself. There's no time to feel sorry for yourself. Gang stalkers literally want to see you down, depressed, with nothing. And I'm telling you this because gang stalkers told me this themselves. They didn't tell it to me directly, but I've seen them sad when a couple of gang stalkers, three of them, saw me at 7-Eleven wearing my big ass Versace belt and pink shorts and a tank top. And they left mad. Like I've seen their face, I've seen their reactions to me when I look normal. A gang stalker literally was like, "Where's the trauma? Where's the harassment? Where's the abuse? I don't see it." He said this to my face. So total destruction of everything that is you is one of the primary goals of gang stalking. So please understand that believing that you are being harassed with directed energy weapons is part of that. If having the belief that you're being harassed with directed energy weapons is part of gang stalking, the moment that you close that door, you're gonna be free from most of it. Please understand that, all right? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.